Hey guys, you guys made some interesting comments on my recent post that I asked you guys, what do you guys want from next year? From Identity 5, of course. Hitomi Uzaki says, adding 9 to 10 ciphers on duo hunters. 7 is disgustingly unfair. So duo hunters mode is a mode that I have complained about quite a lot. Get a lot of my streams because I've said that it's kind of unbalanced, and I recently did a video called Little Girl is Broken on duo hunter mode, and that's because she is, although she just received a nerf, so she might be a little bit more fair now, I'm not completely sure. From the beginning, duo hunters mode is actually just unfair because even though it does seem like it's fair because you're technically doubling the survivors and you're also technically doubling the hunters, there are much more and there are a ton more targets for the hunters to have to deal with because there are more cipher machines for them to have to go to. Survivors have more health, so you have to take longer to be able to chase one survivor down, or there might be more people around to come and help them in kiting. In a normal match, you only usually have to deal with 2 survivors at the same time. Now you need to deal, if you're a hunter, with multiple survivors. I must say that in this game mode as well, cipher machines go way too quickly because since multiple survivors can be decoding the same machine at the same time, and whilst 1 or 2 people are kiting, that leaves pretty much everybody else free to decode, and you can finish ciphers very, very quickly. Something that is also a bit of a problem with duo hunters mode is that survivors usually have a lot of time to go to the phone booths after they decode something, but hunters don't really have that chance to go and buy items because they constantly have to be chasing to be able to keep up with the cipher machines and the survivors. I think that they need to implement a change where hunters will have access to the phone booth whilst they are moving already, similar to the tarot shop where you can just buy it from the left hand side. The first part of this video was recorded last year because technically I'm at my mother-in-law's place right now, and so now it's 2022. Happy New Year officially, guys. Night Dog comments, I really want devs to listen to Global Server too. We're also part of the ID family, you know? So yeah, I agree that NetEase doesn't really pay much attention to our server overall. The Global Server is kind of ignored, although I do think that the Asia server has a little bit more preference over the NAEU server. That is because I think mainly there aren't enough players in our server. That means that, for example, we just don't need as much attention because we don't earn them enough money. Something I've mentioned in a previous video before is I think that NetEase needs to implement a community partner group that is filled with maybe content creators and maybe players who are competitive players that kind of people vote for every single year, you, the player base, vote for every single year, that can represent a server. We can have like monthly or 3 monthly meetups with the developers from NetEase, and we can discuss kind of what we think that the game needs to improve on, where we think that they should maybe change some things, and what we think is too strong. This way that they can actually connect with what the real player base wants and what the active player base wants, not just the general player base that play it once in a while. Something that has also led us to a lot of confusion, especially with this new line friends thing, is that I feel like NetEase needs to be more transparent about what is coming to our server and what isn't coming to our server. I think they need to announce whenever there's something that's coming out for the Chinese server, this will be coming out or possibly will be coming out for this server, instead of us having to theorize or maybe try and work ways around to be able to get these skins or these event things. Of course, I'm going to ask for more competitive tournaments as well, something that the Chinese server has a lot of, and really do. Of course, this is a completely different beast because there are a lot more players there, so the competitive level is much higher. But I think that we also need this in our server. But not only just tournaments, but I also think we need little kind of community competitions. We have been having a couple more this year, especially with the art competitions that have been happening, but I don't think there's enough going on. If you go and check over the Identity 5 Weibo account, that is Chinese version of Twitter or whatever you want to call it, like Facebook, you could say, they have competitions going every week, I think, of you being able to win a prize, in-game money, or some merchandise and stuff like that. And I think that this is something that we really need for our player base to be more active on social media, that will help them promote more the game. Meep says, well, for starters, they could fix the ping, and after that, they should make the game more fair so that hunters could have a chance of winning as well. Third, they should stop making new skins for a while and take a note of the more important things. I do think that something that NetEase is very, very bad at compared to other games is they are really bad at communicating the stats that currently hunters and survivors are at. for example, what the win rate is, or win rate for a current survivor or a specific hunter. This is something that I think we should have access to in this game, so that we can understand why NetEase is nerfing and buffing things. This has led a lot of players to be really annoyed at characters being nerfed for no reason. One of the biggest ones is, for example, Lucino, who got nerfed for no apparent reason. I would also like to see those stats in comparison to the tier that that survivor or hunter is. For example, if a tier 1 survivor have a higher win rate than tier 3, for example, and all of these different things as well, depending on each survivor. This would give us broad information, and also I think they need to take it into context as well, because I think that they don't take these things into context. Something that I continuously repeat whenever people come onto my stream and say, do you think that this person should be nerfed, or do you think that this person should be buffed? I always say that hunters and survivors that are powerfuler than B tiers should be nerfed down to B tier, and all survivors and hunters that are below B tier should be buffed up to B tier. I think B tier is the perfect place for the game right now, because it makes it a lot more fun. If you play some B tier hunters, you enjoy the abilities, but you don't enjoy losing. If you play some B tier survivors, you enjoy the abilities, but you don't enjoy how you're not winning. So this is what I think everyone needs to do, and I think that NetEase needs to bring everything down to B tier. Silent Identity 5 says, remove Cypher Rush. I don't want my fellow hunter mains to leave this game, and I can't get a single match without waiting more than 5 minutes in quick match. If you think that waiting 5 minutes is normal, then you're dead wrong. Back then, I got matched as survivor in 20 seconds max. Yeah, this I think is due to the fact that there aren't enough players playing hunter, but I'm not completely sure how that would work out. So this is because hunters are leaving, and I'm not really sure what NetEase can do right now, because they are losing player base very, very quickly. As I've said, I think they need to do some of the changes that I've mentioned before, about maybe kind of giving us a community partner group where we can discuss things so that the player base feels a little bit more heard, because this is something that I think most of the players will notice, is that Identity 5 doesn't feel like it's connected at all with the community. Discussing removing Cypher Rush, I don't think that they can remove or completely remove Cypher Rush, but I do think that there are things that they can do, and they have said that they're not going to do it, but that is one of the issues that we have right now, is that Cypher machines are going incredibly too quickly. This is insane how fast these things are going. So right now what I think they need to do is they need to adjust accelerated decoding. It needs to have a more niche clause for activation. For example, maybe only activating when a certain number of players have been removed from the match. This will of course change Photographer, and I think Photographer needs to have something built into him that is an accelerated decoding clause. If we really want hunters to kind of start playing the game more, we need to make the game more fun to play, and I think there needs to be more incentive for hunter mains to be able to play this game. So maybe they need to get more rewards compared to survivors, because it is a much more high risk type of gameplay. Talia Gaming says, be more generous with their rewards. How come in every event we only earn about 50 clues or 50 fragments? A continuation of storylines for all characters would also be a good idea. A lot of people were mentioning in the comments that they really wanted to get some like A tier unlock cards, or to get free skins and stuff like that, and I don't think this is completely necessary, because I do think that the amount of fragments that the game gives us is quite decent, because, you know, these are kind of premium currencies where you'll be able to get skins, and if you save them up, then you'll be able to get something special, and I think that they give quite enough of those already. I don't think that they give us enough clues. I've been playing this game for a very long time now, and I still have not got access to all of the characters yet, and I do mostly buy characters whenever I have enough clues to. So, and this is surprising for a game. Usually people who've been playing for at least over a year should have access to all or almost all of the characters. I do not have access to that. This seems like a fault of NetEase not giving enough clues away, and usually during their events they give you such minute numbers of clues that it's kind of almost comical. There must be a reason for this, but I would like NetEase to be more transparent about this too. As for the storylines, I do and really do want some clarifications on some of the stories, because there are a lot of kind of rumors about what possibly this could mean, and I would like them to do maybe some more videos connected to these characters where we can kind of develop their stories even more, especially if it's something that's connected to maybe their birthday events, where we can get maybe a short video or animation that is maybe just a sketch animation even, just so we can understand more about our favorite characters in the game. Humblecat says, YouTuber crossover, where the YouTubers can choose the character they like most and main and give some designs to developers or something I don't know or how it will work, and the design must be a theme of themselves, and names of the skins are their YouTube names. More pets for hunters. As far as I know, there's only one for Geisha. There are more than just the ones for Geisha, but yeah, I get what you're talking about. I don't think that it's necessary, and I think it would be incredibly expensive for NetEase to be able to do this kind of collaboration with YouTubers, but I don't think it's necessary completely that they do anything like a big crossover for YouTubers, but I do think they need to pay more attention to YouTubers and possibly make sprays. I think sprays would be the easiest way for them to kind of implement YouTubers into the game without having to design something super crazy. I think it'd be easier than them making a skin, at least. I am slightly biased as a YouTuber, but I think this is one of the best ways for the community to feel like they actually have a connection with the game itself, apart from just having YouTube and having Identity V on the other side. Something as well that I think that NetEase needs to do is they need to start paying more attention to their YouTubers in the fact that they don't actually acknowledge them on their own social media. I think that maybe they could do some community streams where maybe streamers could, maybe YouTubers could do some streaming on their Identity V page as some promotion for them and also for the player base. I also think that they could acknowledge them in posts as well, maybe promoting some videos for certain players and maybe new content creators who've only just started Identity V who are making some good headway into the space. As for the pets thing, I do think that NetEase has completely forgotten about pets, at least for hunters I mean, because they do make pets for survivors all the time. I'm not completely sure why. Maybe nobody really got them or nobody really used them and that's why they just decided not to make any more, but it is a weird addition to the game when there are only a couple that exist. Brave King comments, less lagging, better connections with players in messages, better and scary hunters, and weapons we can use on hunters. The survivor with the gun needs more than one shot. We should give her 3 shots, not 1. It's useless. As for the game lagging, depending on the issues, these are completely different issues. We've got ping and we've got FPS issues and the game not working itself as well. I do think that the game needs to optimize and improve on its actual core gameplay as a whole because it is starting to fall apart at the seams. We're getting a little bit more bugs and a little bit more problems as the game goes on. And for example, me, I can't even open the game sometimes. They have promised us that they're going to optimize the game, but they did say that they were going to shrink the file size of the game. So that might not actually do anything for the game, but we can demand and maybe request even that they give us an improvement on the optimization of the game so it runs a little bit smoothly, because even people who have got very good phones are still seeing issues with the game. Brave King also mentions something about messages, and this is something as well that I think they need to improve on, especially since we possibly are going into a 16+ rating. It would be nice if the game would lessen the control on messages, because it feels like you can't even write simple words. I don't swear, and I don't like to swear in typing either, so it's very strange that when I type a simple word like prisoner, that word is kind of banned and I can't send the message. This is very strange, and I think that NetEase needs to improve their kind of algorithm for making sure that people can actually communicate with each other. As for the coordinator, where coordinator has 1 flare gun, I've had this discussion with many people before, and I have got to the conclusion that I think coordinator is fine with 1 gun. People request that she has multiple ones, but I think this goes back to one of the things I've mentioned previously, is that this game needs to bring survivors that are not B tier and are above B tier down to B tier or up to B tier. And I think that coordinator is one of the most balanced characters in the game, quoting MeerGrad here. So I think other characters need to become coordinators level, because she is a high risk, use a powerful ability character, but then once you've used it, you have not got much else, except for some pretty decent abilities on the side. Yoey Channel says, I have an idea. In 2022, how about having a trading center where people above level 5 can trade away their skins, clues, and fragments to each other? I've thought about this trading option before, but I don't think NetEase will ever implement it, and I think that they would be crazy to implement it because this would lose them tons of money, especially in our server where they're not making enough money anyway. This would pretty much make it kind of useless. Most players would then not spend any money on the game, and those who did then would swap stuff out for the stuff that they don't need, and then they wouldn't need to buy any more. What they possibly could do though is they could implement a type of card like an A unlock card, but instead of that it's a trade card where you'll be able to unlock, maybe for special events, a card that will let you trade with another player. This means you can trade an S tier skin, an A tier skin, anything that you want, but you only get to have those cards when NetEase gives them to you. This means that NetEase might have a little bit more control over when and how people trade, and of course you'll only be able to do it once every now and then. As for trading currency, that's a bad idea. I think this would make NetEase completely into this would make Identity V into its own little kind of economy, and this would be very confusing, and I don't think it would make sense from a legal standpoint as well, just for the game. But I get what you're talking about. Dino Gaming says, to be honest, I'm just waiting for that Danganronpa 3 sequel. I'm not even sure if they're going to give us another Danganronpa event. If they are, I have not heard about it. I'm assuming that they aren't going to give it to us anymore because the company itself doesn't want to do any more collaborations. It would be kind of strange if they kept on giving us more Danganronpa. I think we've kind of got to the end of players being super interested in doing that. I know that there are some people who are super fans of number 3. It starts to shrink as you know, people are like less interested in getting more of the same type of skins. What we do need, in my opinion, is we need more of these fun events. For example, this line event that, you know, the line crossover is really, really cool and really, really funny and cute. And also the B-Duck one is really cool. I think people were really excited about getting these kind of strange and wacky skins.